What's going on, guys? It's the Ushanka here, and today I'm bringing you my second video, or should I say first official video. I did an introduction video on the series that I want to be doing, and I just wanted to do like a little, I think it's like an 8-minute video, but just basically talking about what I plan on talking about on this channel. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out in my previous videos. There's like 2 other videos on there. It's the one before this one. So if you're wondering why I'm doing this, you'll figure out why in the last video if you go and click and watch it. So anyways, in the last video, I said my first topic that I like to talk about is communism. And communism in its coalition and its rebirth and revive in in the millennials, in society today, and why it's still here. It is a question that is on my mind all the time. I don't know why. I watch the news, I see it whenever I go to like a campus university, and I'm from California, liberal central, and honestly, I see it. I hear about it, and obviously got to deal with it. So I have this question, and why do millennials do this? Why do they believe that communism is the way of government and thinking and mentality that's going to save America from the evil Donald Trump? It's going to save America from, this evil, rich, capitalistic view and way of thinking. All right? Now I could go, and honestly I don't want to, but because there are videos out there that explain the differences of capitalism and communism, and so I'm basically just going to be reinventing the wheel here. And you can easily just go to YouTube and type in capitalism versus communism. What's the difference? So I don't know who makes the videos, but I'm just saying you go on YouTube and it's there. So if I talk about it, I'm just another voice in this vast YouTube world that's going to be talking about it. And honestly, this is just going to be quick little points and things that you could shake your head to and be like, that's interesting, never thought about that. So let's get into it. So why do millennials like communism? Especially the ones who goes to college, the ones who do go to college, not the one who does. But these kids forget one thing. They like to shout and yell white privilege, and you basically don't agree with anything to the left or to the right, they believe. They are basically calling you a Nazi and a racist, and you are what's wrong with society. Basically, be a communist. They sort of have the mentality of the Antifa, whatever you want to call it, the anti-fascist movement, which is now labeled as a terrorist unit, or organization, I should say. So why this communist belief? Why do they want communism to believe in capitalism? Is because you have politicians, Democrats, like Bernie Sanders, for example, who honestly believe and say these talking points, and they speak to the millennials who are going to school or who are working jobs, and they're having a hard time eking their way through life. And so the liberal mentality and the liberal talking point is, let's give you free stuff, free this, free that. That's what our socialist society is. And that's what we're going to be, promoting for you. It'll eliminate your student debt. It'll eliminate, your health care. Free this, free that. Don't worry about it because we want to take care of you. The government want to take care of you. And so they hear that and they see, instead of looking at capitalism and saying, I have the ability to go to school, get a degree, start a business, or get into a field that will make me a lot of money and become something with my life. Now, I drive a street sweeper. I drive a truck. But back when I was 18, I was working in warehouses. Just, doing what every normal 18-year-old does. Yeah, they got a job, but, they're just busting their asses working in a warehouse, low pay, just doing that, But in my life, you try. I went and I got my Class A license. I tried to do some Class A driving, driving the big rigs, the tractor trailers. Got out of that and then just decided, I found a job doing a street sweeper, worked for a small business owner, doing that. And, I feel like I have sort of a purpose now. I don't feel like I'm just working for some company that's just like, oh yeah, deliver these packages, or oh yeah, go load this truck or unload that truck. I feel like I have somewhat of a purpose. I'm doing something. I'm contributing something to society here, in a sense. Like we're cleaning up, dirt, dust, debris, things that can cause, hazards in the air. I'm doing something. I feel like I have a purpose now. I'm not making, huge bucks, but, I'm surviving. I'm living. Okay? And that's what these millennials don't understand. They just want everything handed to them. They can't just think that the capitalist system, where they can go to school, become some sort of nursing assistant or something like that, and be able to go get a small decent car, be able to go and make something of their life. And that's the ability that capitalism has. You have the ability of choice to go and make money through your hard work and your efforts. To where at least you could say you tried. If you fail, you tried. Okay? You tried. No one can ever put you down for that. But these millennials who go to school, who are handed these, able to go to these big colleges, and these big universities, and just, they have everything going for, they go to school and mommy and daddy paid for their dorm, or they got these big grants where they feel like, oh, I can go and live on campus, and all I got to do is just go to school. Maybe I get a small little job working at McDonald's around the corner. That's all they do, and they study and they do other things. If there's something I'm missing, and a college student does see this, then please put in the comments. But I'm just brushing over everything with a broad brush and just sort of giving a little quick example here. So these kids who have this debt because of these grants that they got, they're just like, oh, I got no money. But what are they doing? They're going for majors that are in psychology or gender studies. And so they have no way of paying that student loan back because the jobs are not in for those fields. What kind of job are you going to get in philosophy or gender studies or small-time psychology jobs, unless you go full-blown psychologist, PhD, which takes years to do, and a lot of millennials don't have that moxie to do that, from what I've seen. Not saying everyone is like that, but I've seen majority of millennials I see, they just want to hurry up, get done, graduate, and put that little degree on their wall and be like, oh, look, I went to college. Good, you went to college. But they didn't want to progress. They didn't want to go further. They didn't want to do anything else. They just that's all they wanted to do. So they have no way of paying off this debt. They have no way of paying off these loans. So they see that the government wants to offer free stuff. Get rid of the student loans, the student debt. Vote for us. And who are they voting for? Who's saying vote for me? Well, the people who are saying that are Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You got Bernie Sanders. You got Hillary Clinton, but you know, we all know what happened there. You got Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein. You got all these people on the left who just say, well, we want to have the government, you know, we want the government to do this. The government's going to help you out. It's the government this, government that. Government's going to... And so it's causing these kids, millennials, to believe that government is going to take care of me and take care of my problems. When honestly, that's not what's going to happen. And so when these politicians like Bernie Sanders and AOC bring up the topics of socialism and communism and admit on live TV and admit to the public that they are socialists and they would rather live in a socialist society like Norway or the Netherlands or whatever, northern European Nordic countries. You know, they want to mimic that. But that's another story for another video. But they said, oh yes, socialism can work. It works in the Nordic countries, and I believe it could apply to us, the United States. Yeah, but there's differences in that. And again, another story, another video, another time. But the kids hear that. People my age, they hear that. And they're like, hey, that sounds like a good idea. You know, I believe in that. That makes sense. Rather than these, and you know, evil corporations and companies that just have money, they greed, and they just they take everybody's money and don't give it to the poor. Everybody should be able to have that money. Well, to be honest, these companies that are big and have workers and have all these things set up, these jobs, for example, Donald Trump, you know, no business is perfect. Every business has its ups and downs, all right? No business has ever started and had some form of a problem that came to it. So I'm just using Donald Trump as an example. Yes, his daddy gave him $1 million to start a business. Their family was rich. Okay, but it's what you do with that money, is what you do with that profit, that is what will make you shine. So if Donald Trump could have easily just taken his father's $1 million, blown it on crap, and just lived like a rich boy and just, you know, maybe started a business, but nothing like Trump Tower, nothing like Trump Industries, you know, having his own plane, having his own, you know, having everything. So, you know, huge business operation that he has running around. Realtor, skyscrapers, golf courses, everything. You know, starting from $1 million to start, you know, which, you know, is a lot of money, you know, to start with. And a lot of business owners don't have that money to start with. But just to give an example, you know, somebody started with something that's $1 million and turned it into $1 billion profit. So it's like no different if you took $10,000 or $20,000, started a business, and turned it into $1 million profit, you know? So now you're up there with the big business guys, the corporate people, where you can afford to buy, you know, a boat, live in a nice house, you can afford to buy a fancy car, because you started something that you did, and who knows, 20, 30 years down the line, 40, 50 years down the line, you know, you have this big company that you're running, and it's still there, and, you know, you're just, you know, you're $1 million company. And so you're making money you have your workers are there, and you're paying people. You have a legitimate business, and it's thriving. And so, there's this politician that wants to say, well, you're making too much money, you're a big corporate guy, and I believe that you need to have more money taxed, so because you don't deserve to drive that car, you don't deserve to drive that boat, you don't deserve to live in that big house, and etc. Well, that politician, little does anybody else know, especially the millennials, know that Bernie Sanders drives like a $400,000 car, an Audi or something like that, $400,000 Audi, and what else? Drives in jets, first class. Probably has like 3. I think he has 2 or 3 homes. Bernie Sanders does. It's on record. You can go look it up. He's got houses. He doesn't have a house. He's got houses. So, you can look it up. So there's a commentator from way back in the day called Milton Freeman, and you can look him up. He has videos on YouTube. But he basically says in one of his little segments that and everybody else is greedier than you. The person who's calling out other people's greed. Everybody else is greedy. So these politicians who are socialists, I personally want to call them communists, just believe that communism and socialism will work. And these millennials buy that, and they stand with that. And when they get so indoctrinated, and the indoctrination, that's the other thing, with these classes that they take, these classes that are for whatever subject they're going for, and again, it's gender studies or psychology or philosophy or even business majors, history majors, science majors, whatever, they're indoctrinating these kids to believe in socialism, hate the U.S. economy, hate the president, hate everybody around you, because this is wrong. This is evil. This is not right. And these kids believe that, and they stand there like zombies, shouting it at the top of their lungs, not giving you a chance to speak. And they believe it. They believe that communism is the way. They've never lived through it. They've never experienced it. They don't know anything about it other than that it's just the positive things. And then when you get Antifa involved, if they decide to follow that, then they're even more radicalized. They will die believing that communism is the way to go for the American way of life. That is what they believe. And so when they say that, so let's go an example. What happens when, somebody like me, confronts these kids and they say, well, hey, didn't you hear of a country called the Soviet Union? I've heard millennials say, well, yeah, I've heard of it, but that's not how it should be. It was done wrong. There should have been another way of how it was run. The way they did it was the wrong way. Well, let's just get this straight, okay? To be factual, there has been North Korea, which is still around, Venezuela, which has just recently become a communist country, back in the 80s, I believe, so about 30 years ago, so nothing too long. The Soviet Union, you've had Pol Pot, you've had Vietnam, and you see all these communist states that don't work. And if you even want to throw it in the pot, Nazi Germany. Honestly, the Nazis are no better than the communists. They're basically the same. It's just basically communism and fascism. To just do a blunt comparison, it's basically two bullies living on the same block, and who said there can only be one ruler of this bloc. They're both big, they're both a-holes, they both think they're the toughest guy, they both believe whatever they say works for them, and, I don't like you, you don't like me, but I am in control of this bloc. So they have a fight about it, and ultimately, they're not that different. They're both different kids, they're both different people, but their attitudes and their mentalities are the same. Plain, kind of just a simple little thing, just to compare and check. There's different little politics here and there, and things that one government does that the other doesn't. But to be short and fair, that's pretty much, to give a good example, that's kind of like how it is. Okay. So, anyways, these millennials, they say that, well, communism wasn't done right. Communism wasn't the way the Soviet Union was done. It wasn't done right. Or the way that Mao Zedong, running China. Oh, that wasn't done right. Or Pol Pot, murdering thousands of his own people and other people for simply, believing, for having an education, or running, believing that communist ideology. Did that work? Oh, well, he wasn't doing it right either. Okay, then who did it right then? If all these communist and fascist countries did it right, how come they're still not around anymore? How come everyone's trying to get out of there? How come people are killing each other talking about that stuff? How come people are trying to get out of these countries, and people are saying, don't go in there? Well, the thing is that because the reason why these kids don't want to talk about it, and the reason why they don't admit it, is because they've never had to live through it. There is one thing that these kids, these millennials, have that they never had to grow up with, and that is privilege. They want to call out white privilege. They want to call out those who are of different, basically white people. They want to call them, they have the white privilege, and they're racist because of their skin color. And because they're white, they have a privilege. Well, honestly, if you were born in the United States of America, you had privilege. Privilege, plain and simple. You've had privilege, and you have the privilege to grow up in this country, to be able to do whatever you want, to be able to, have an education, have a job, have something to better yourself with. Where people who grew up in those countries never had that. They were forbade from it. You had to follow their rules, and you had to do that. And that is something that those kids will never understand. And they don't understand. And the only way that they will understand it is if they actually open up a book, read it, or watch a documentary, a legit documentary, and understand it. Because that is the only way they will know the differences between where they're living now and communism. Okay? Now, they want examples of how come communism hasn't worked, and why it's so perfect, and how come, when I'm saying it doesn't work, they want that example of saying, well, how come you're saying that? It's like, well, for example, the Soviet Union is probably one of the greatest examples of how communism is basically, would never work. And in theory, it sounds like it would work. It sounds like it would be ideal for the Workers' Party and people who work for a living. But these kids don't work. These kids they're just going to school. Some who do work, yes, I believe. I'm not saying every millennial is the same, and they go to school, and they have a little job, or maybe not, and mom and daddy pay for everything. I'm just saying that just in general, a lot of millennials they aren't working. They don't work. They don't have a job or a business that they started, and they're trying to fight for their equal rights in as a good worker. like in the Communist Party. You know, I want to be, you know, like the iron workers or the farmers or something. When, you know, like the hammer and sickle. You know, everybody else, they just see, they see that, they're like, oh, that's the communist flag, right? It's like, well, yeah. But what is the meaning to it? The hammer, meaning industry. The sickle, meaning the farming, harvesting. Okay? Now, are any of these students doing that? No. Are any of them dealing with working in factories? Are any of them, you know, out in fields harvesting stuff? No. So the hammer and sickle would honestly mean nothing to them in general. It doesn't really mean anything. Honestly. They just see that symbol and be like, oh, communist, you know, there it is, I'm a commie, you know. I love being a communist because I love my government. I love having the government do everything for me. But see, they're willing to shout it and they're willing to exploit it and just really throw it at you. And they just want it here. And they don't realize the foulness of it. They don't realize what it's done to people's lives. Communism has killed more people than the Nazi Holocaust. All right. Stalin alone murdered millions of his own people just for God knows what. Just for it looked at him wrong, killed him. You know. Didn't like the way that guy talked. He had a funny voice. Kill him. You know? Stalin's purge killed more people than the Holocaust did. And in Mao Zedong's or Zong's or whatever, Mao, we'll just say Mao's regime, killed more people than the Nazis killed just during the Holocaust. And that's fact. But these millennials will stick to their guns and believe that communism is the way to go. Communism is it. Communism. I want communism. I would love to have a time machine and just take one of those little commie pricks and just drop them in 1950 Soviet Union when Stalin was around still. And I would love to see how far they get. I would love to see how their beautiful communist ideology is really put forth on them. And I would love to see their faces if that happened. But I probably wouldn't see it long because they'd be drugged away and they'd be exiled or thrown in a gulag or just probably taken out back and shot, you know. That's pretty much what it probably would have happened. One of those things would have happened. Or maybe they're not right in the head, so, you know, re-education. So torture and starvation and beatings and, you know, yeah, that seems about right. Because, you know, not only are you communist, not only are you a commie and you believe in communism, but you're also for pro-gay, pro-transsexual, you know, trannies. You love the LGBTQXYZ12345 community. And honestly, if you're gay, you're gay. If you're trans, you're trans. I don't care. All right? I live by this principle, and I forget who said this principle, so I've heard someone say this before, so I'm going to just say it on here. I said this, and honestly, this is what I believe, okay? I believe a gay couple should be able to have guns and grow a pot farm. Like, I believe that's what they should be able to do. And that alone is a mind blow for liberals, because that alone is like, wait a minute, guns, businesses, wait a minute, that sounds a little bit too right-wing to me. Yeah, well, you know, I believe that, yeah, they should be able to do all that kind of stuff. I believe that, yeah, they're gay, go ahead, be gay. You know, you want to have guns? Go ahead, have a right to own a gun. You want to be able to grow a plant? Grow a plant. Make a business out of it? More to you. Contributing to a society that wants it. You're business owners. Congratulations. But the left, oh no, I don't think so. You shouldn't have that gun because that's a mass murdering military grade weapon that can shoot off thousands of clips per round. Facts. and that's what they believe by. That's what they stand by. So with that being said, these kids who believe in communism and fascism, not fascism, but mostly just communism, they're against fascism because we hate Nazis. But literally, if they just took a look in the mirror and just saw that it's so fascist and communist what they're doing, that they're just basically following the rules in the same lines that the Nazis were doing as well. So, but we'll just call them commies in the meantime. But you know what? They're also fascists too, so I can call them whatever. Commie Nazis. I'll call them the commie Nazis. If anybody ever watched The Simpsons, there's a little Simpsons reference in there. But yeah, so commie Nazis, that's what they are. That's what a lot of the millennials are nowadays, just commie Nazis. They don't say they're Nazis, but they sure as hell act like them. But they stand behind the communist flag, and they stand behind, Karl Marx. And that's another thing. The hardcore millennial communists who are out there passing out pamphlets and booklets and papers, promoting their branch of communism at their school, those people, they read the book Karl Marx, and that's like basically that's the holy grail for every communist. That's the manifesto, Communist Manifesto. That's their book. That's the book you read when you're dealing with communism. And so honestly, they follow that book to the T, and they believe it. All right, and that book was written, I think, like in the late 1800s, I want to say, something around that time. So that book was written then, and Karl Marx, and it was a theory then, and it wouldn't work until post World War I, or the closing days of World War I. Excuse me. Where Russia had just pulled out of World War I, and there was a revolution going. The Tsar Nicholas II, I believe, was not doing a very good job running the country. The war was dragging on. People at home were starving, and so the Russian soldiers who had come home were tired of this. And long story short, you had Vladimir Lenin, you had a revolution, you had basically a civil war, and then eventually a revolution to change the government and overthrew Tsar Nicholas and the Tsarist era of Russia, and implemented the Soviet Union. So that's another key point. Read right there. That's something to read as well. Read up post World War, like 1917, 1918 Russia. History look out right there too. A history key point that if you are a millennial and you're looking at this and you're like, well, what's he talking about? What World War I? Well, look at that. Do research there. Read on how the Soviet Union, the Bolshevik Revolution happened, and the overthrow of Tsar Nicholas II and the Romanov family. Anastasia. Not the movie, that cartoon back in the day that we as kids watched, but the actual real story of the Romanov family and Tsar Nicholas and what happened and the lead up to that. To the actual research. So there's some key studies for that. So anyway, that happened, and that went on, and basically at the end of a war, people were fed up, and so they wanted and so I think Vladimir Lenin was actually, and Joseph Stalin was also part of it too. But Vladimir Lenin, who was the leading fighter in this, believed that communism was going to be it, and following the works of Karl Marx. And I'm just going over this just bluntly because it'll be like a 2-3 hour video if I really start diving into this. So I'm just sort of brushing things. If I'm leaving things out, or if I'm getting something a little bit mixed up, somebody's calling me out on it, just bear with me. So anyway, that happens. Lenin's in charge, Soviet Union starts, and that's basically what happened. So Soviet Union is now a thing, and communist Russia is now happening. So there's a post to that from the 1920s and 1930s, and just Stalin had, eventually Stalin came to power, and there was Stalin's purge in the 1920s and 30s. And so Stalin was basically just, he tried to do reform, he tried to work on industry, which it sounds good, industry's working, farming is growing, their sort of economy is booming. But with the government being in charge for so long and just, taking other people's money, farmers lost their land, they were forced to give it up to the state. Anybody who privately owned a ironworks facility, a coal plant, or what have you, basically lost it to the state, lost it to the government. They had to work for the government. Yeah, the guy who was in charge, he lost his ability to own a lot of money because they kicked him out, and they put somebody who was a Soviet, either made him into a hardcore Soviet communist, or they put somebody else who already was, and he ran the business by the ways that the government wanted it done. So anyway, where I'm getting with this is that these kids, these millennials, don't see that. They don't what I'm talking about here. This is just coming off the top of my head from reading, from videos and documentaries that I've watched, because I love history. I love reading and exploring about this kind of stuff. But these millennials don't do that. They don't know this stuff. They just heard about it and got a little bit on it, and that was it, and that's it. I mean, yeah, you don't have to love it, but the best thing to do is to understand it and respect what you have. And what these millennials don't have is respect for what they have. They have the privilege of being here in this country. They have the privilege of being able to walk down the street, ride the bus, take an Uber, have a smartphone, go to Starbucks and buy their crappy coffee, or go to the latest, trendiest thing they like to do and do it. Go to Coachella, take drugs, go to festivals and concerts and take drugs and get drunk and, have sex and just do whatever they want to do. They have the ability to do that, the freedom to do that, the freedom to watch the Kardashians, to tweet stupid tweets, to listen to whatever they want to listen to. But the moment they keep talking about communism and socialism, it's going to come back and bite them in the butt, because eventually it'll get to them. They pushed for it so hard that the one day that they actually get their wish, they'll be regretting and eating their words, what they said. There'll be no music, there'll be no freedom, there'll be no nothing for them. It'll be the government's way or no way. And Lenin said it perfectly. Vladimir Lenin said it perfectly. Useful idiots. That's what they are. They're useful idiots. And that's what the Democratic Party sees. That's what Bernie Sanders sees. That's what AOC sees. Well, I mean, she's an idiot on her own, so it's obviously a child leading children. So, what better person to have, obviously. But you get what I'm saying, and I digress. But basically, yeah. They want him in. Say, yeah, we're going to give you all this stuff. We want you to have this stuff. It's free. It's great. It's cool. You know. But imagine going to the store, going to get something to eat, grocery store, shopping for clothes. Imagine having to do all the normal things you do, but it's like going to the DMV every day. Yeah, nobody likes going to the DMV. I don't know one person who would love going to the DMV, or who loves going to the DMV. And no, if you don't know what DMV means, it's Department of Motor Vehicles, where you get your license and your renewals and take tests to drive vehicles. So, in case you know, I know that DMV is called something else in other states, but basically DMV, so Department of Motor Vehicles. It's basically like everything that you would do, every normal thing that you do on a regular basis, going to the store, getting coffee, getting clothes, shopping, what have you, it all turns into the DMV. There's just big lines. There's just going to be numbers. It's going to look very unpleasant, very slow process. Not a lot to work with, and the people are a-holes. Honestly, they're dicks. They're pricks. They just no respect. They look like they hate their jobs, but it's going to be like that under a system for everything. To get fuel for your car, to get clothes on your back, to food at the grocery store. There's probably not going to be any food in there anyways. So basically, the big question is, why do these kids follow it? And you know, I think that's the answer. They feel like these politicians are going to help them. They feel that these politicians are going to promise them the world, the moon, the stars, and it's basically just to get votes. And these kids don't know anything. They don't realize what they're walking into. It's like It, you know. It's the clown, you know. Saw the movie. Come on, Georgie. There's everything down here. There's balloons and carnivals and firecrackers and popcorn and games and lights and everything. Come on, Georgie. Don't you want that? I mean, yeah, you got your little paper boat, and you can have that too. But there's all this other cool stuff down here, and then the clown just grabs you in and takes you down and kills you. And that's pretty much communism. They promise love. They promise fun and exciting things to come with this. And half these kids don't even know what politics is, how politics works. And so they follow it, and they believe it, and they get led down the hole, and they get their arms ripped off. They get their souls sucked out of them, and they look like soulless people. I took my girlfriend to school one day, and I stuck around class, just because I had to pick her up. And quick story, she's told me stories about how it is over there. There are LGBT clubs, and everybody hates Donald Trump. Everybody's I hate Trump. I hate Trump. F Trump. F Trump. F Trump. Racist. Nazi. We're all about love and equality and all that crap. And so there was one day I was there. I didn't tell her this, but I saw the typical fat feminist, colored hair, big ass nose ring, and just wearing clothes that don't fit her. Obviously, probably has armpit hair and smells like they haven't bathed in a couple days. And I see her handing out flyers, and I'm just like, I'm not going to go over there and get it, but, I could just imagine what she was passing out. Because I didn't feel like going through a confrontation. I didn't feel like asking questions. I just, honestly, I didn't want to be there. I was just like, and honestly, and luckily enough, I didn't have to go up and get a pamphlet. I actually saw one laying on the floor. Because I went to go drive to go get something to drink, and then I came back, and then I saw one of those pamphlets. I was like, hey, here's one of the pamphlets. And sure enough, it was for a pro-LGBT thing and a quad something, I can't remember. And quad number or something. I don't know. It was, a meeting for that. And that's exactly what that girl was passing out. And so I was like, oh man, that's crazy. I was like, so this is what it was. And I got this eerie feeling over me. And again, this is something to look at history. You can watch movies on this. It's in books. And, every time when I see that girl, and I see that girl in my mind, and I see those people, and other people like that from other videos that I've seen on YouTube, I get this feeling. I don't see a fat feminist there anymore. I don't see a fat feminist, with blue or pink hair. I see some communist propagandist in a uniform handing out communist propaganda, spreading all kinds of news for how great the Soviet Union is and everything Comrade Stalin does for us. Like just soldiers handing out propaganda pieces. Even the same thing like for the Nazis. Handing out propaganda how the Jews are bad and how, communism is bad. I mean, whatever they would talk about. Mostly the Jews. The Jews are bad. And that's all I see now. I see just, whenever I see those people like that are handing out these pamphlets, I just see a Nazi in a uniform or a communist in an officer's uniform handing out propaganda. Because if you were to go up there and counter-think and counter-question what she was doing, she would shut you down and have her friends come over and they'd start yelling at you, spitting on you, harassing you. It's calling you a Nazi, calling you a racist, calling you a white supremacist, and everything else under the sun. And that's what they would do. And that's what they would, and they'd pull their phones out, make it try to make it trendy, and they try to, really, make you look like the bad guy. You're the bad guy. You're the real problem with society. Well, I'm just trying to, have a simple debate. No, you want to question what I have to say, and I don't like that. So I'm going to just call you a Nazi. I'm just going to call you a racist, a white supremacist, because that's what you are. It's like, woman, you don't even know me. Or man, you don't even know me. But that's just the talking points. That's the NPC characteristics that they have. They're so brainwashed. That's all they know how to act like. They just follow the talking points, follow the same thing, can't think outside their little box that somebody else told them to go into, and they can't think for themselves. They have to look at their friend. They have to see, should I be agreeing with this or should I not be? Oh, I shouldn't? Oh, okay, I won't say anything. You will not divide us. You will not divide us. No KKK, no fascist USA. Hey, ho, ho. No fascist USA at all. Debt to USA. Yeah, that's what they do. So when you have someone when you feel like you're breaking the chains on their brain, and it can actually kind of see like a spark coming into their brain, sort of like if you remember The Walking Dead, and like the first season, and the CDC scientist is showing what happens to the dead. There's like an X-ray of somebody who just died, and they have like an X-ray of the I don't know, electrons, the brain's dead, it's all black, and then they see a little spark the reanimation happening inside the brain, and then they get the gun and they put the shoot the zombie. There's a scene in there. It's probably on YouTube, but that's basically like what's happening. When you start talking to them, and some of their friends who don't agree or who don't really get into it that much, they just sort of nod their head around their friends who are like the real crazy communists. And I see videos where they have a microphone and they're asking, hey, do you think this is right or this is wrong? And they go to the person who doesn't really know much about it, and they look at their friend and they're like, should I do this? Is this the right way? And then they answer for them, no. He's with this authority. He's with this group. We don't talk to them. Don't answer to them. They're wrong. They're Nazis. And they have this little spark, and they want to talk. They want to have a debate, but they can't do it. They have to drag you down. They have to pull you back in. They have to make sure, no, this person can't think. This person can't have an opinion. You're supposed to think the way we think, and that's it. And that's what they do, and that's how they think. That's their mentality. So their friends who are barely starting to get into it, they can't get out of it because they have their friend, because they're trying to socially fit in. And that's the other thing, why they accept communism. Socially trying to fit in. Socially trying to be cool with these people. Because they feel like it's the only friend they got. When really all they care about is just, hey bud, can I get a lift? Or hey, you got any food? Or hey, I got some drugs, but can I get some money so I can go get some more? I'll let you have some. Go do some ecstasy. I mean, I got like a couple pills, but I heard you got like a job and stuff, so like, we can go hang out with my other friends who are probably communists, and can I borrow like $50? You'll get some weed, you'll get some ecstasy, you'll get something out of it. I just need a little bit of help, Useful idiots. Remember that. Useful idiots. So, I guess I could say at the end of this video is going to be actually over an hour long. So, I don't even know if YouTube will even let me post it in one whole thing. But if it gets broken up into parts, then there'll be a part 1 and part 2. But basically, for anybody who is a millennial, there is a way out of that crap. It's called pacing yourself. It's called stopping. It's taking a step back and talk to a conservative. Okay, talk to somebody who is not pro-LGBTQ with weird hair and colors. Talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. You could talk to any pro-Trump supporter, and they will tell you why communism is bad. You could talk to anybody who served in the military during the Cold War, and they'll tell you why communism was bad. Okay? Now, I'm going to throw out a few things here as well for you to also listen to. Other YouTubers that you can go out and look for will be Mark Dice. Mark Dice does a very good job at really exposing the liberal media. Makes like little 5, maybe 10-minute videos with a live stream like maybe once a month. But he does videos every day. He's got multiple books. He has like 2 books that he just wrote in like under a year or 2, a year and a half. But Mark Dice, definitely one to subscribe to and check out his channel. Now it's satire. But he does a little, like, he makes fun of the liberal media and everything, and he calls out their hypocrisies and stuff. So definitely a channel you want to check out too. And if you feel like you're going to get offended, it's working, because you shouldn't be getting offended. That's the reality. This is life. People get offended. Things happen. Okay? It's not like, oh, we're going to get a gun and, put it against your head. No, it's just these things that these people that I'm going to go tell you to go check out, they're not being mean. They're just telling you it like it is. And if they sound like they're joking around, it's because, wow, I mean, look how it's so stupid and idiotic. It's funny sometimes if you really break out of it. So, Mark Dice, for one. Definitely check out InfoWars. Alex Jones, all right? Now I know what everyone's going to say. Oh, here he is. He's just one of those crazy guys who likes Alex Jones about the gay frogs and, doesn't believe about Sandy Hook, all right? Hold on a minute here, okay? Hold your guns. Take a pill. Easy. All right? Now, Alex Jones, yes, they can be a little bit crazy there sometimes. It can be that way. But if you look past the gay frog memes, you look past the whole Sandy Hook thing, you actually listen to some of the things that he talks about. When he gets serious, when he does get serious, you got to watch the show. He can get and be serious at times. And he'll go a little bit overboard sometimes as well, but if you look past that, you actually look at the nature of the content and what he's talking about. It's true. It's not satire. It's not just guy yelling and screaming. I believe it. No, this is true. There's things he brings up. He's got the evidence, the reports to back it up, and he puts them on the InfoWars site. And even if you don't want to watch Alex Jones, the app in the App Store for Google Play, that's the only place you can get it now, the app, because Apple banned it. Apple didn't want it. It's too offensive. So, you get it on the Apple Store, you can go to Infowars.com, and you can do that. And so, there are other people. David Knight is one. Very calm, collective person. But he's not afraid to say it like it is. He will tell you like it is. Great. He comes on in the early mornings if you're from California, but you can hear the videos. You can see the videos of his podcast and his little news time and everything. And David Knight, and then at the there's also another newscaster named Owen Schroyer. Owen Schroyer, he is like Alex Jones Jr. He tries to be like Alex Jones so bad. I love Owen. He's a good guy, but he can be a try-hard sometimes. And try hard to be like Alex Jones, but, I mean, honestly, I can only listen to one person rant for so long, and Alex Jones does a good job at it. So, Owen Schroyer might say something that, clicks with you, the way he talks, the way he acts, hey, it might click with somebody. It kind of does with me, kind of doesn't, but just, again, for you. Paul Joseph Watson. Oh my God. This guy from England will not stop. He will let it go. He will let it show. And he will not hold back. He will tell you that, wow. And he also worked for InfoWars, but now Alex Jones told him, no, you have to go on your own. You have to go and do your own, and you have to spread your wings and fly, because you associate yourself with Alex Jones and InfoWars, there's a big chance you're going to get banned from everywhere, social media, like they already have been. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, whatever, what have you, Spotify, iTunes, they've been banned from everywhere simply because of what they believe in and for what they say. That's it. And that's another video for another time that I guess I will have. So anyway, this video is going to be up in about an hour right now, an hour video, but definitely check out Mark Dice, the InfoWars app, or Infowars.com. Check out Alex Jones, David Knight in the morning. Check out Owen Schroyer in the afternoon, evening. and Paul Joseph Watson. I can't think of anyone else on the top of my head, but Paul Joseph Watson also, he has his own channel, and he has a new media page on the internet called Summit News. I think it's summitnews.com, I want to say, but just type in Summit News, or just Paul Joseph Watson. He probably has a link in his description to his internet page. I would actually hope he gets an app, but you know, that remains to be seen. So anyways, yeah guys, it's gonna wrap it up. So it's already over an hour video, so I don't even know if it's gonna upload, but yeah, that's basically just my opinions and thoughts, and from what I've just researched and listened to over the past few years on with millennials and communism, and that's really it. I mean, open your eyes, really, just open your eyes. So anyway, that's going to do it here for the Ushanka podcast here, April 24, 2019. Stay tuned for the next video. If you like it. If you don't like, dislike it. Share, subscribe, whatever you want to do to come back again for another topic. I'm not sure what I'll talk about tomorrow. Maybe I'll talk more on Alex Jones and why you should go check him out, or maybe I'll talk about the whole something anti-gun. It'll be like a surprise. We'll think about a surprise for tomorrow. So anyway, stay tuned, guys. Take care and have a good one. God bless.